All right, bear with me. This is a slight digression. You may recall that a couple of weeks ago I was dealing with the chapter on women in the most recent UNAIDS Epidemic Update report and expressing incredulity at the contention that 100 countries had embraced the elimination of gender inequality as a national priority, and even more consternation at the possibility that 52% of the countries, as they claimed, were on track for eliminating gender inequality. And I thought to myself with appropriate ridicule, disdain and scorn that we should find out which countries those were. And so AIDS Free World asked UNAIDS for a list of the country, and we got that list a couple of days ago. And on that list were, for example, Afghanistan. Presumably the information comes from the Taliban. Egypt. Presumably the information comes from the raping of women in Tahrir Square. Zimbabwe, where we have it on record that President Mugabe initiated the raping of women in the election of 2008 and has 3 women in his cabinet of 26, which is obviously on track to achieve gender equality. What UNAIDS has to understand is when you publish that uncritical analytic drivel, you have to understand that it's an impediment to achieving gender equality, that what you're really doing, claiming progress where progress has not been achieved, is maintaining gender inequality. And if you want to learn more about this fascinating issue, I urge you to go to our website and read the blog published by my co-director, Paula Donovan. Second, I rarely deal with Canada, although I'm a nationalist, obviously, but in this instance I must, because just a few days ago Canada announced that not a penny of its international aid money would go to the provision of abortion for women who were raped during war and girls who were locked into child marriages at an early age and presumably raped virtually every day. This came just a few days after the Foreign Minister of Canada had mounted the podium of the United Nations General Assembly and with that self-serving, self-aggrandizing, histrionic view announced that Canada deeply opposed sexual violence in war and certainly opposed forced child marriage. Just how do you elevate hypocrisy to those levels? And it's such an attack on women. Some would say it was evil. No, I'm not going to hide behind some would say. I think it's evil. And finally, you may have noticed that a few days ago, a group from Haiti launched a suit against the United Nations claiming compensation for the terrible consequences of the cholera epidemic in Haiti after the earthquake. 8,000 people died. Tens of thousands were sick. And it all derived from the UN peacekeeping troop from Nepal who defecated in the river system from which the Haitians draw their water. Can you imagine the consequences? And the United Nations contemptuously dismisses the suit after delaying for a couple of years, hiding behind the Convention on Privileges and Immunities. Well, one day that Convention on Immunity will have to be withdrawn or redrawn because of the damage which is done by the UN and sometimes by UN agencies betraying the mandate which they're obligated to serve. There has to be accountability. And when the day of accountability comes, heads will roll. That was last week. I'm Stephen Lewis.